one that bothers me, and it goes back, I think, a few years ago, and you were not the solicitor at the time, but a financial town meeting took place. A number was inadvertently misstated when the tax levy numbers were put out, which appeared to give us a shortfall. Went to the courts, and I can remember what the judge had to say in that matter was, I don't care how you raise the money, have a bake sale, do whatever, but the financial town meeting made an appropriation, the appropriated dollar amount had to be spent, and it was the town's responsibility to come up with the money. Unfortunately, there was 2 mistakes, and when the mistakes were all lined out, the situation went away. But it left that taste, I know, in my mouth about what the judge said in a situation over a financial town meeting, which scares me, because it sounds to me like if the voters at the financial town meeting say, you have X number of dollars to spend, we can't raise it through the levy, the court's going to say to us, you find another way to come up with the dollar. Because the dollar's the dollar and it was the intent. And that one kind of scares me, because I put that scenario into this cap scenario and can see somebody coming up with that same kind of ruling. And that's why we better get this one right in how we make a policy of what we're going to do to send these budgets to the financial town meeting. Or, I mean, we don't send them. We have to stand behind our numbers or whatever it might be, but we have a process. We've got to explain that process, as Mr. Medeiros was saying, the best we can. And I just don't want to see us in a scenario where it makes the situation even more disastrous to us.
Well, Don, we have made progress with this discussion, and I think it's been a good discussion. I think we at least agree, and this was one of my concerns, that subsection D doesn't apply. I mean, there's a purpose to subsection D.
Oh, yeah. No, there's no doubt. We're not with it.
We've never argued that.
I think we can make it clear that subsection, it isn't that. If you simply come out and say that anybody can get up at the financial town meeting and make a proposal, and we haven't gone through the process of D, that's the issue that I thought was one of the issues I thought we had. Apparently, we don't have that issue. And if we simply indicate that the town council of Tiverton will be the governing body for purposes of this statute, and we adopt paragraph 1 of Mr. Tice's proposal, we have essentially eliminated subsection D as a possible problem. And it would seem to me that if we are the governing body, at least we have one shot at reasonably looking at the numbers. And that is, we're the governing body, no one is going to request certification unless it's the town council, and then done through Mr. Gonsalves office with the treasurer
and the budget committee.
Right. So there is one effort by the town council to take a look at a situation and make a decision. Do these provisions apply, and do we want to exceed the cap? We at least have to get a majority vote under subsection D.
No, yes, we do. The issue here seems to me to be just paragraph 3. If you take the rest of this is the law, and the first 2 paragraphs it is Mr. Gonzalo, the treasurer, and the budget committee that will set the stage to say that we have a condition which falls under subsection D 1, 2, 3, or 4 or more. One or more of those brings that situation to us. We take a vote of whether or not that will mean we need an excess. That request goes to the state, and the state comes back and says, we will allow an excess of, and give us a number coming back. That's so positive. Well, I'm just saying. That's right. Now, the issue then becomes, what do we do at the financial town meeting? And I think that's where.
No, I want to back up.
Okay.
Because this, under the Tice proposal, he says a 4/5 vote to request that approval.
Yes.
And it should not be possible intent to submit. But I think that should be a majority vote. And I think that is you agree?
Oh, I agree, yeah.
It should not be a 4.
For subsection D, it's a majority vote. To send this for certification by the state,
yes,
is simply a majority vote.
That's okay.
That I agree with, yeah.
All right. So This is what we agree on as of now, Mr. Lambert. Hey, Mr. Lambert, I can't resist this,
Okay.
okay? When you were a candidate, okay, candidate, one of the things that, and this comes as a quote, but Lambert said, and this was at the forum for all the candidates,
I assume I said it, but go ahead.
well, it's a quote.
Okay.
It says, but Lambert said, the largest possible group of residents should decide the budget. The financial town meeting forces the budget committee to do a better job. What struck me is that the largest possible group of residents should decide the budget.
Who wrote that out?
It's a quote. But I'll give you a
You
copy.
know, I'm gonna tell you, now,
I couldn't resist.
I don't mind being, really, I don't. I take
You like it.
criticism, I take, be corrected. In all honesty, I don't believe I ever made that quote. I swear to God. It doesn't even sound like me.
Well, those were the written.
But still what? I mean,
No, I just wanted to.
Let's get back to our
I don't
discussion
even,
at
I don't
hand.
even admit that I'm making a mistake.
Let's take this back in the direction it's intended to be and discuss this. Now, I'm trying to find where you think any levy pursuant to subsection D of this section in excess of the percentage increase specified in subsection A, which the percentage increase in section A is that number where it went down.
Right, where it goes
the
down every
increasing
year. yes.
percentage. Shall be approved by affirmative vote of at least 4/5 of the full membership of the governing body. You finding that subsection E is not requiring 4/5, should be just a
Oh, no,
majority?
before, you see, what we're approving here, however, is the levy. And let me give you a simple example. We may be arguing that we're entitled to exceed under one of these 4 provisions of subsection D.
Yeah.
We're entitled to, I make up a number, $1 million. We may get certified only, say, $200,000 or $100,000. We may be certified for $1, it may not even be worth the effort. But that's, at that point, subsection E kicks in, because it's the levy that we now have to approve. The first step under subsection D, we were simply looking for certification, and we're giving a bunch of numbers to Providence, and we're saying we want these numbers certified. We want to fall under the provisions of subsection D. You may or may not disagree with us. When it gets back to us from Providence, as I understand the statute, we then look at subsection E, and we then have to approve the levy based on what Providence has approved and what they've disapproved.
So you're saying it doesn't require a vote to request the additional levy? Only when it comes back
Oh,
from
no, no,
Providence?
I'm saying to send it to Providence in the first place, we need a majority vote.
Right.
When it comes back to
But
us, and I...
where are you seeing in this statute that was provided to us, this policy with the statute of a majority vote to send it?
Because we're acting as the town council, we're acting as the governing body, and all we need as the governing body is a majority vote under subsection D. That's why I suggested that we make it clear in our very first paragraph of the proposed language for the resolution, the town council of Tiverton will be quote-unquote the governing body for the purposes of this statute. That alone would mean that we would need a majority vote. Then the powers in Providence may approve or disapprove of whatever numbers we're presenting or whatever case we're presenting, the experience that we anticipate or that we forecast. They may agree or disagree with us and then come back with a number. Whatever that number is under subsection E, we then have to approve as the governing body by a 4/5 vote. That's my interpretation of that.
Now, any levy pursuant to subsection D
Right,
of this section,
right.
subsection D goes back and gives us those 4 provisions, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Any levy pursuant to subsection D of this section in excess of the percentage increase specified in subsection A. And subsection A, which isn't in this document, is the part that said it started at 5, 4 3/4, 4.5, going down to the final number.